Did cavemen masturbate? It's a weird question to Google at 2 a.m., but it's a serious question. And it actually leads to a second, even weirder question. If they did do it, how often were they doing it? Were we talking once in a blue moon? Every day? Was it a bored, cold winter thing or a daily habit? Today we're going to answer both. So stay until the end because you won't expect how often cavemen do it. So, did they? Yes, 100% yes. And we don't even need cave paintings to prove it. We can prove it with living animals. Masturbation has been documented in over 100 mammalian species, but the smoking gun is primates. Wild chimpanzees do it. Bonobos, our closest cousins, do it constantly, males and females. Gorillas do it. Orangutans do it so often they actually make tools to help them do it. This is where evolutionary logic comes in. There's a principle called parsimony. If two species share a trait, and they share a recent common ancestor, it's overwhelmingly likely they inherited it from that ancestor. Humans and chimps split about 6 to 7 million years ago. If we both do it today, that ancestor from 7 million years ago did it too. That means this behavior is older than humanity itself. It is older than fire, older than stone tools, older than cave art by millions of years. Cavemen didn't have to invent it. They were born with the hardware and the instinct, just like every mammal is. Children in every hunter-gatherer culture ever studied discover it on their own between ages 2 and 4, without anyone teaching them. So the question isn't if they did it. It's why we ever thought they didn't. Now you might say, okay, biology says they could. But did they actually? Is there any physical evidence? There are hints, and they're fascinating because early archaeologists were too embarrassed to even write about them. In the Hohlfels cave in Germany, the same cave that gave us the oldest human art and the oldest flute, archaeologists found a 28,000-year-old polished siltstone object. It is 8 inches long with carved rings. It is, for all practical purposes, a phallus. The official paper politely calls it a symbolic representation. In Brazil, in the Caverna da Pedra Pintada, there is a rock painting dated to about 9,000 years old that is almost universally accepted as a man masturbating. There are more controversial ones. Engravings in French Paleolithic caves, a carving in the Tarxian temples of Malta from 4,000 years ago, showing a figure holding its own genitals. We have to be careful. Art is open to interpretation. But the pattern is clear. As soon as humans start drawing anything about their lives, hunting, dancing, giving birth, they also start drawing this. It wasn't hidden. It was just part of life. Which brings us to the big misunderstanding. If evolution is about passing on genes, why would a behavior that doesn't make babies stick around for 7 million years? Because it turns out it actually helps you make healthier babies and stay alive longer. There are 4 reasons biologists give, and they all would have applied to a caveman. 1. Practice and preparation. For young males in particular, it's a safe way to learn how everything works before the high-stakes moment of actual mating. 2. Quality control. This is the big one for males. Sperm gets old. After a few days, its DNA starts to degrade and it becomes less competitive. Regular ejaculation clears out the old inventory and keeps fresh sperm ready for a caveman where every mating opportunity could be his only chance to pass on genes. That is a massive advantage. 3. Hygiene. A landmark 2016 study showed that masturbation after sex flushes out bacteria that can cause STIs from the urethra. In a world without antibiotics, that could save your life. 4. Stress and social glue. An orgasm releases dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins. It drops cortisol, your main stress hormone. For bonobos and humans, who live in small, intense groups where one bad fight could get you exiled and killed, a built-in, free, private way to calm down and sleep better is pure gold. Evolution didn't just tolerate this behavior, it rewarded it. And if it was that useful, that leads us to the question we have been holding. Okay, so we know they did it. Now, how often? We obviously don't have a caveman diary that says Tuesday masturbated twice. So we have to reconstruct it from 3 sources: our primate cousins, modern hunter-gatherers, and human biology itself. Let's start with primates. In wild chimpanzee troops, researchers observing for hundreds of hours found that adult males masturbate on average about 1 to 3 times per week when they have no mating opportunities. When they do have access to mates, that number drops. Bonobos are outliers. They do it almost daily because they use sex for everything. Now look at modern hunter-gatherers, who are the closest lifestyle match we have to cavemen. Anthropological surveys of groups like the Aish of Paraguay and the Icha Kung show that adult men report masturbating several times a week, often more when they are young, single, or away from partners on long hunts. For women, reported frequency is lower in surveys, but researchers believe that's heavily underreported due to cultural taboos even in those societies. And finally, biology. Human male testosterone peaks in the late teens and early 20s. Sperm production is constant. The average refractory and arousal cycle means the biological urge returns every 24 to 72 hours if not relieved by partnered sex. So put it all together. What is the realistic estimate for a healthy adult caveman? For a young single male in his late teens to late 20s, likely 3 to 7 times a week, depending on season, stress, and whether he had a partner. For an older male with a regular partner and high status in the tribe, likely 1 to 3 times a week, often as a supplement, not a replacement. For females, the data is less clear, but primate data suggests it was absolutely present, likely a few times a month to a few times a week, tied more to hormonal cycle than to male patterns. And there would have been seasonal spikes. In harsh winters, stuck in a cave for days with little to do, low light, and high stress, frequency would have gone up. Anthropologists call this the boredom and confinement effect, and we see it in all isolated human groups today. So no, not once a year, and probably not multiple times a day every day like a modern myth. The most honest answer is about as often as modern humans do when you take away internet, porn, and modern shame, which is to say, regularly, a few times a week, a normal part of their baseline hygiene and mental health routine. So here's the final picture. Your ancestor 100,000 years ago woke up in a cave. He made tools, he watched for predators, he told stories by the fire. And yes, he masturbated, about as often as you do. It wasn't a dirty secret he discovered. It was a 7 million-year-old mammalian habit he inherited. It kept his sperm healthy, his stress low, and his sleep deep. The only thing that's new isn't the act. It's us feeling weird about asking the question.